want to welcome ESD 5 and Mr. Campbell,
the two districts.
and
Okay.
The last one's here.
very good, Sherry. We're going to have a joint meeting, so we're going to go ahead and have we've got a quorum for ESD 4 with all members present.
ESD 5, we have a quorum.
I want to welcome Commissioner King, our meeting. He's newly elected, and I think this is his first meeting to attend with us.
Yes,
so
sir.
We're glad to have you. Anyway, let's go ahead and end the invocation. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve our community. We ask that you lead us and guide us and give us the wisdom to make correct decisions for our community. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Is there anyone here that has anything to say that in citizen comments is not on the agenda?
Ask for citizen comments.
Not hearing any.
And we have to also District 5, citizen comments for District 5 as well. No comments.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the attorney, and it's all yours, sir.
Well, the main thing is I want to make sure that, and you've got some maps, I'm assuming, on your computer or something, but or can get
I
to them.
do. I think they're pretty good.
Right.
We do have some. I think the election was
From talking with Tom, fortunately, y'all are going to have your voters probably pretty well keyed up already from the elections office, but really it's a pretty simple process. We have to order it by February 17th. And so one of the issues I had is that I understand that Floresville's in the middle, or certainly in the middle of one district, and it's also in the other district. And they're already at 2%. So what that means is they've got their full local sales and use tax, so they will participate in the election, but they will not participate in the sales tax because you can't exceed 2% at any location in either district. You've got 2% available, if I remember correct, because you don't have a county sales and use tax. And so what we would have to do, you have POF here, which is at 1.75.
Yes, sir.
And so that means that there's, 0.5 available, 0.25 available, and y'all would each split that on an eighth. And I've had this happen before, and the controller can work that out, assuming, both of them pass.
5 isn't in this. 5 is
That's right, that's
the
right.
border is
That's
just
right.
on the kind of the east side of Floresville.
Well, the beauty is that when you exclude somebody that's already at 2%, you have a special ballot proposition that basically says, for or against the imposition of a sales and use tax and blah, 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 ESD number, whatever, at a rate not to exceed, and each of y'all would be 1% at any location in the district because you're splitting it as mine. Well, actually, you're having a different split than 1%, aren't you?
No, 1.25, 1.75.
They had been discussing that.
Yeah.
With 5 taking a little bit more and 4 taking a little bit less.
So 5 would be at 1.75 and 4 would be at 0.75. 1.25 and 0.75. Okay, and we did this in Caldwell. Well, we did it in Gonzales County for sure, where we had 2 ESDs and we just split it up. We had one city that had not reached the 2% cap, and so we split that an eighth and an eighth. So this is not any different than that. Again, we have to order the election by February 17th. I don't know when y'all's regular meetings are.
Next one is
5s is the second Tuesday of the month, and 4s is typically the fourth Tuesday of the month. However, one of the items of the business tonight is to discuss moving that. make it a little bit earlier in the month so they can conduct monthly and mid-month business. But if you need us to meet, Ken, we'll meet.
We have no problem having a special meeting.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have a special meeting if you're waiting until the 4th, Tuesday or Thursday. That's not gonna work, because we gotta do it by February 17th. So we need to pick a date and make sure it's in advance. We can go ahead and let the elections folks know that we're gonna be holding elections. I can do the paperwork pretty quick. I'll have orders for y'all when y'all are ready to order the election. All I ask from you is that y'all give me the agenda item for each of you as to where it's going to be, because I like to number my orders and resolutions and things by day, month, and year, and then the agenda item. That way you never lose track of where you are on any of those and try to remember if it's 10,601 or whatever it is. And if you just have an order sitting loose, you can go back and know exactly where that meeting, where it happened, when it happened, and what agenda item, so you can go back and find it. You can always draw up a resolution later if you need to. And so we'll have orders that we do. I'll work on the sample ballot. And that was the most important thing, is the 1.25 and the 0.75. And if y'all got that all worked out, then I can work with Tom on the agenda items for both of you and getting that done before the 17th, and then we just proceed forward. You're going to need to do some sort of education. You cannot be for or against it, and you certainly can't spend government money to be for or against it. You individually can, but I would be slow to do that, other than to explain in an educational way that we're doing this because we need the funds, and here's what the funds are going to go for. So the fire departments especially really need to have, and the EMS department really needs to have, what we're going to do with the money. Now, there are companies you can hire. Touchstone District Services is one of them. Do I?
They've been retained.
Oh, have they? Good. So they're going to help you with the education and town hall meetings and those kinds of things, but you really need to have a story to tell. Number one, what you're doing for the citizens, and then number two, what you're going to do with this additional money, because as we all know, nobody likes taxes. Okay. The other thing is to point out, which y'all probably realize, that since Floresville and some of your other major cities are all at 2%, these folks are probably spending that money, that 2% anyway. I saw that y'all had a Dollar General coming in. I don't know if you have a grocery store here or not. So you might spend more on groceries, but your citizens are already probably going to Floresville or somewhere else, and they're spending that 2% there. So might as well have it help here. We would also do a thing that's called a repeal of the telecommunications exemption, because telecommunications is exempt from sales tax unless you, as the local political subdivision, repeal that telecommunications exemption. And I suggest that you do that. We will do that as all part of the process once we pass it. And it's canvassed, and we will, assuming it passes for both of you or either of you, then we will repeal the sales and use tax exemption. I mean, the telecommunications exemption for sales and use tax, and then you will be getting money off of cell phones and things like that too. It's really not going to be a big hit in anybody's pocket, but it is going to be a good, solid funding source for y'all. And one of the things that Tom and I have talked about, and I talk about all the time with sales tax, is that no matter what the controller tells you you're going to get more, because they go off of their list filers. And so they don't, the one-offs and then some of the bigger ones that pay annually and stuff, they don't have a good handle on what your revenue will be. But it'll be something that's fairly impressive probably to y'all. It was to us in my little ESD that's 10 square miles. We were supposed to get $18,000 a year. We get $45,000 a month. So it can be a good source of revenue, and it can be a good solid source. I would not budget that revenue for the first year until you get a handle on what it's going to look like. Then you could start throwing it out there and making it, be a little more reliable. You have a real good idea of what your property tax is each year, because you're getting the certifications and everything, so it's pretty easy to determine that. The sales tax is a little more volatile. And one of the interesting things about the sales tax is in 2008, 9, and 10, I think y'all remember so many cities in Texas and other entities that collected sales tax were taking huge hits because the economy was down so hard. And so now, ironically, with COVID, the sales tax for everybody went up because of all the Amazon and all that stuff. And you will be getting that too. It's kind of weird. In my district, we have only 3 convenience stores, but you never know who's selling $1 million worth of Bibles out of their house. And our largest taxpayer, ironically, is Westlake Dermatology, which is a plastic surgery center. Apparently some of that is elective and therefore subject to sales tax, but they sell more creams and lotions out of their little shop there. I mean, if you're already hitting the plastic surgeon, it seems like you realize that the creams don't work, but you know, whatever. But they sell a ton of it, and it's just amazing to me. And then there's all the little things. There can be construction depending on what it is. There's various things that are subject to sales tax. So I'll leave it at that. I just really wanted to make sure that everybody's on the same page, that you got your split done, answer any questions you had, but it's really pretty simple. I'm doing about 10 of these this year, including you two, if y'all go ahead and order the election. So the second Tuesday, what date is that?
It's the 14th, but I want to say, and I'm not speaking for my commissioners, but the discussion was possibly setting 4s as the first Tuesday of the month, which would be the 7th, and then we could do another joint that night if they go ahead and do that.
Okay.
That would give you, Moss 10 days. Would that be enough time for us to get everything done?
Yes. Really, it's just drafting the orders, and you know, it just takes me a little bit of time to look everything up, verify everything again, and get those orders done for you, and then we'll have them ready to go. Y'all will sign them that night, give them to me. I'll get them to the elections folks, and we need to let them know it's coming, just so they know. Is it an elections administrator now? That's what I
We
thought.
do.
We have
We have one.
Yeah, because I just ran into a strange one in Van Zant County where it's still the county clerk, and they can turn you down.
Yeah.
And so they have said, you're free to use our stuff, but we're not helping. And
Yeah.
so we decided to go to
So
November.
Olga would run that election out of the office?
Mhm.
Well, where she decides, but she's doing a city election as well. So it'll probably be those polling stations and then the other polling stations. She
So would
has
the
some
districts
count-
then, and this is just for county knowledge, would the districts then pay for that election?
Yes, ma'am.
So interlocal would have to be made between the districts and the county for
Yeah,
that?
I've got that.
Completely
We
separate,
always do
okay.
that for all the polls.
Yeah,
That's not
okay.
a big deal.
Are there going to be any school district elections?
No,
Mhm.
Just city?
not that affect here.
Okay.
Germany, yes, but that doesn't affect us. That's the difference.
Mhm.
But it would be a cost share between the city of Floresville and Richards. I've already checked it too.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what the cost would be. I don't have that for you, but it will be a cost share.
Yeah, and it's going to be probably a little more expensive than normal just because there's so few elections going on, and y'all both have fairly large areas. We would probably, I would recommend highly that we use the elections precincts locations that are already set up by the Commissioners Court. So we're going to need, a number of people, but hopefully we'll get all that set up for us and take care of every bit of that. And then we just pay our cost on it. Now, what cities have an election? Floresville? Okay.
City council.
Okay. So, that just means that, Floresville's going to be paying some of the bill too, but, we may consolidate some. We'll rely on our elections professionals to tell us what we're going to do on that. We don't have to do the Department of Justice pre-clearance anymore. It may come back at some point, in which case we'll have to go back through that process afterwards. But right now, it's pretty straightforward. You order the election, you order before the 17th, I get you the orders, I work on the sample ballot, I work with the elections folks, and then we'll have a canvass and a canvass order, and then we'll also have action to, if it passes, to repeal the telecommunications exemption. And then it takes, once we get it in, which will probably be a week or two after the canvass, and the canvass has to happen, so y'all need to plan ahead now, but the canvass has to happen no sooner than 3 and no later than 11 days after the election. And so we will have a special meeting to canvass, get the final orders done. At that special meeting, we'll also repeal the telecommunications exemption and then hopefully get it within a week or so to the controller's office, and they take a quarter to set up. So you probably will not be seeing any money until October, November. And then it'll start building up from there. There'll be a little trickle, and then it'll start, you'll get a better handle on it. And like I said, I wouldn't budget it for a year. If there's an emergency that pops up and you've got the money, that may be something to consider. But I really think you need to get a good handle on the sales and use tax before you dive into putting it in as a big
As an
chunk of
actual
your budget.
budgeted
Yes, ma'am.
item. So we would just list it as like miscellaneous
It would be in an unencumbered reserve fund is the way I would anticipate it.
Okay.
And in fact, what reserves does each district have now, unencumbered reserves, do we know?
Each one of them has a separate line item for,
About how much, do we know?
not a lot. How much?
50,000?
I don't know, I'd have to look at the finances, but I think,
58
five
last
has,
meeting.
four has, yeah, 58 for four, and I think five has 100 and something,
Okay.
yeah.
And then,
Now, that's just sitting in their budgeted reserve. They have money in their fund balances that's unbudgeted, so.
so still have other unencumbered
Yeah.
funds.
mhm.
Okay, well, so you've got that. How much does 4 make off of property tax each year in revenue?
Ford does, they're budgeted right now for 1.7 million for this fiscal year.
That was about 1.2.
1.2,
Yeah,
1.2 last year.
For 5?
Yes.
It's a little bit, it's got about 100 square miles less this year. I think one's 322 and one's 408, 408, something like that.
Okay.
411, there you go.
Y'all are at 10 cents, both of you?
No,
No.
they haven't had to adjust up there. I can believe it's like 0.95, 0.92.
Then y'all haven't had to use your de minimis yet or felt the need to at this point? Okay.
We haven't went down that road.
Yeah. Well, that's a road to think about, but that's one of the things that's a selling point for sales and use tax is that, they're probably spending it somewhere else already anyway. And the bottom line is this will, it's not true property tax relief, if you will, because there are for cities and counties where you pass it as true property tax relief. And that also means that it figures into your calculations each year when you do your truth in taxation, and it kind of punches you in the nose. But this doesn't count for y'all. This is not property tax relief, but we can certainly talk about other issues. I've had some of my districts in the past say, if this passes, then we will not increase taxes for 2 years absent an emergency or something. I don't know if y'all want to go down that road or not, but that's something else to think about, and Touchstone can help you with that. I've worked with them on many elections. So the main thing they do is they educate people that want to who you are, because a lot of people don't have any idea who you are. They just assume it's coming, So that they'll help with that, and then help with when we come up with, this is why we need this money. Help with selling that. So I'm opening it up to questions, I guess, at this point.
So what if, are there chances, obviously, that one may pass and one won't pass? How will that
There's
affect?
definitely the chances of that.
How would that affect each other's percentages? It won't, since we're just doing straight percentages as opposed to like all remaining, anything like that.
Right. So, let's just say that 4 doesn't pass and 5 does, okay? So, they're getting a 1.25%, and so that leaves that 3/4 cent out there still. I'm assuming that y'all wouldn't go out there and hold another election to try and grab that up. Y'all would let the other district go again and see how they do it, but you can't go for a year afterwards. So, it's technically 365 days, but what it means is you couldn't go to May of 2024 again on the issue. You couldn't go in November of 2023. So, to answer your question there, it's still going to be available.
Theirs if we don't get it.
No.
It's not automatically theirs if we don't get it.
No, they still have to have another election to get that extra 3/4 cent. And I'm trying to think here, because it's going to be, if it's 0.25 is going to be an eighth and an eighth. So the most you can do is an eighth and an eighth. So well, no, it doesn't matter, because y'all aren't splitting that. It's just, it's just them. Okay, I'm sorry, I keep messing that up. I'm thinking about some of my other ones, but, and that's why I wanted to be here tonight, is to really make sure that I understood what we're doing and we don't embark you on a trip that's not going to result in anything good. And you'll be out, some amount of money. So that's pretty much it.
One of the nuances to it, Ken, is that because 4 is the only district that serves this Pope area, they're also potentially, how do you do the language for 4 to potentially claim up to 2 outside of it? Because there's an entire area surrounding this town.
that has 2 available. That 4 falls in, but 5 does not.
Well, since you're both eliminating Floresville, right? Okay, then, like I said, the ballot proposition is it's like filling up a harbor around the islands, kind of, okay? The thing is that, and I got to noodle this out in my head real quick, but let's say that 5 gets their 1.25. It's going to fill up everything around it up to 1.25 except for, I'm sorry?
Except for 4.
Yeah, except for 4's area, and then 0.75 would be the same, and then there'd be the 0.25 that you would give, but it's still going to be a total of 0.75.
But this whole area right here is 2, there's a full after, okay, here's the Poth City.
Mhm.
And then there's a significant area.
What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to come back, because since y'all overlap or having your elections at the same time, one of you can't do the 2%, so you're going to have to come back a year later or so, and then pick up the rest. And that's the old way we used to have to do it. We would eliminate both, in any city, both from the election, that was at 2% from the election, and from the application of the tax, okay? But let's say we had a Poth out there that had 0.25 cents. That's all we could go for is 0.25, because that's all that's available. But then once we get Poth at 2%, then we can exclude them, and then we come back and pick up everything else. And I had to do it in tiers like that over the years. So I'm anticipating that's what 4 is going to have to do.
Touched on that, when I spoke with Simon and Michael, they had this, I didn't agree, I don't know, Ken, you're the expert on this. But what they told me, I was like, I don't think the ballot language can be that vague. That 5 would go for 1.25. And then 4 would go for whatever else is available. I didn't think it could be that vague.
No, because if 4 went for the 2%, okay, then that would mean that where they overlap, we're now at, I don't know, 2.75.
Yeah, 2.75.
We're over.
Can't do it.
So you're just going to have to do a step.
We're going to trust you on this, sir. Ken knows what he's doing. He knows all that.
Well, this is one of the more complicated ones, so that's why I'm really concerned about how we make sure that we're doing this right, because I don't want to have a misstep somewhere, because if another entity has a sales tax election, which y'all would be doing at the same time, and it results in it exceeding 2%, then they're void.
Yeah,
Both of them.
Because we're both ESDs.
Yeah.
But the long and the short of it is that if we've got it divided up, I think we're there. It's just that all you're going to get is 0.75 in the county areas, the non-Poth and non-Floresville areas, and you'll get 0.25 in Poth. And you're just going to have to come back and step it up at the next election.
So theoretically, if I'm understanding Mr. Campbell correctly, there'll be 1 point. If we are successful in this endeavor, we can't reach the full 2 in the rural area around Poth, but you do have the election to possibly go back at it later on.
So we're just going for the 0.25 in the city, and then we have to do it one
And
for
then
the
we're doing
county?
0.75, if I'm understanding it correctly, 0.75 out in the rest of the county.
Yeah. You would
All
have
right,
1.75.
So that's gonna, that,
1.75.
There won't be an area that's not touched by your election.
right, but we aren't going for the
You can't get
maximum.
the max.
Okay, I get it, I understand it now. We'll have to come back a year later and
We
go
got
for the,
difference.
however
1.75.
long, the 1.25. Because we're asking for 7.75.
I talked to Ken enough about this and just read enough Googling to think that, I didn't know if y'all were gonna be able to go for the full 2.
Full 2, yeah.
Because of the fact that
Right. And that makes sense.
And we do have to send a notice to the county since we're excluding Floresville, just tell them that we're going to do a sales tax election and why. And then, basically my letter says to improve and enhance the services already provided. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm assuming everybody's fine. I know the county had talked about at one point doing some of their own sales tax in a special district, but I think that's off the table now, I assume.
we had a sales tax election a few
Yeah.
years ago and we resoundingly lost it.
Yeah.
While the districts prevailed because they did the education campaign.
Well, and it would have cut y'all off too. probably.
It would have screwed 1 and 3 because it's your clients. You still represent those 1 and 3? Yeah, it was those guys. But they put in the work and the time.
county did not. Bore the fruit.
But when we come back the next time, we are also subject to the county of Polk coming back maybe at that time as well? And asking for that other,
Theoretically, the county could, or any other, well,
Or-
both can.
okay.
Both will be maxed, right?
Both will be
Oh.
maxed.
Yeah.
So it would only be the county areas that's in the district.
Yeah.
And
And
the
it's
county could
basically-
theoretically order
Right.
election.
But it's at the same time, right?
Ma'am?
That election happens at the same time? So if somebody else is coming for the sales tax money, it's all at the same time?
No.
We're not before then, they're not after us? If
No,
they
if
want an
they're- they would-
election?
they would probably go
Right
to-
now.
It depends on how you get along with folks. I mean, in Gonzales County, we had one city that was at 1.5 or something like that, or 1, I can't remember exactly. And we divided it up between the fire and the EMS district, kind of like y'all have done, where the fire gets more because they don't have the income coming in from the
And
transports.
Right.
And it's more of a, out the door money losing proposition. And so we backed off and let 2 cities, I believe it was, trying to think of who it was. It was Nixon, I think, and Welder, it was Welder and Smiley, I think. And then Welder, we said, okay, we're gonna back off, let y'all go this time, so we don't have that competition thing going on. You get yours up to 2%, then we'll eliminate you. And Smiley just never did anything. And so we went to them afterwards and said, by the way, we're going to the next election, and please don't try to go with us, because we gave you the chance, forever hold your peace, and they took it like big people, and we moved forward.
This is a question for you, Ken. The agendas for the specials, the resolutions, and a report. I guess that was my note here. That's something I can get with you on? And I can draft those for you to review?
The,
Resolution for the board, the rare,
I've got it all.
or do you do that? Okay, all right, good deal. Well, I'll let you do it.
All right. Anything else?
Now it's time to ask questions.
we have a contract, anything we need to sign to do this?
I don't have a contract. I'm your attorney until you tell me I'm not, and I hope you pay my last bill.
For the record, that is how he does it.
Don't worry, I'll pay you.
We're good for it.
My family appreciates it. I still got some
He
kids
has
in
given
college.
me
Yeah,
kind of a
no
quote,
problem.
which we discussed. Both of y'all, we discussed
Yes.
the estimated attorneys for
Yeah.
doing this thing, and y'all, neither board had a problem with that.
All right, so let's go back and make sure Ken understands completely. I'm gonna go look at the maps, but 5 is the fire, and it is the bigger district? Smaller district. No Poth.
Right.
All right, so, yeah, all y'all can go for at 4 is 0.75%, because that is how y'all are dividing it up. So you'll have to do a step election later on if you desire to do that.
Do we have to wait 2 years, or we can do it the very next year?
We can do it the next May, so May 2024. But you can't do it in November of 2024.
Then we have to pay it.
Gentlemen, this came from Austin.
Technically BK.
Any questions? These have been asked.
And we all agreed on the split, no one, yeah, right? Okay.
We haven't firmly locked that down, but we can talk about it tonight if we need to. I think you've heard from Mr. Campbell that that's how other districts, other areas have done it as well, because of the issue that we all know, fire guys don't have the ability to bill folks like we do, and those big red Winnebagos that they run around in are a whole lot more expensive than ambulance.
Well, that's one thing y'all definitely gotta nail down. Because the exercise is futile if we don't have an agreement on
No,
that.
we had basically come to an agreement, I just don't think we ever actually voted or, put it like an official thing. I know we had
In
a-
the minutes,
I
yeah.
was trying to stay out of that because I represent both districts. I'm not really, it's not proper for me to negotiate between you two, but y'all had committee members
Yeah.
Yes.
that were discussing this. I'm just gonna do what they tell me they came up with. you know?
And it will be resolved when you pass the orders as to what you're asking the taxpayers to vote for.
Well, it sounds like we've got a tentative kind of fit sum of 125.75. And about a week and a half to knife fight about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much settled.
For what it's worth, it sounds like a fair split to me. That's almost exactly what we did in Gonzales County.
Okay. I have nothing else on the agenda, if you don't have any questions.
All right, well, barring anybody changing their mind, are we looking at potentially doing this on the, just so Ken's here, you tell him, doing this on the 7th?
That's good for me.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
So,
I'll be late, but
Y'all gonna try and do a joint meeting or
Need them both here.
We can
at least give you a chance to talk about it?
meet again just like this.
And y'all don't necessarily need me here. If you feel like you need me here, let me know and I'll.
Yeah, if you don't, if you just give me the stuff, I mean, I'll get them to execute it all. But it's just a matter of getting them back together at the same time to get it done.
Is that, Don, is that make with you on the 7th?
yeah, absolutely. You guys,
I might be working, but I'll find out.
BJ, you good on the 7th?
I think we're good
Yeah.
tentatively, we'll check
Yeah, I'm
with
good.
the other
I'm good.
the other ones that aren't here tonight, we'll check with them too, and see.
Okay.
Make sure we have a quorum at least.
So it's not on the 14th.
No.
Shoot for the 7th.
I got a Valentine.
Oh, okay, so that's gonna.
That's another reason.
So is the 7th gonna make up for
Okay.
ESD 5's
All right,
14th
well,
meeting?
then, I guess y'all
Oh,
can
so we
do
won't
this.
have that either.
Y'all can-
Okay,
Fine, y'all can adjourn your
the
meeting.
7th.
okay.
So will the 28th still happen here as well?
Our
Or the regular meeting, or is the
This
7th?
is the regular meeting.
No, but
Is
for
this
next month,
regular
for
meeting?
February.
No, I'm talking for February.
Well,
Since they're having the
there-
7th, are they also having the 28th?
There's an agenda item to move.
That's an agenda.
Oh, okay.
We're
Okay.
talking about.
Okay.
we're gonna discuss
Sorry.
that
Got
tonight.
All right. Well, 5, if y'all have no more further business, you can call for a motion to adjourn.
All right, just to clarify, the next joint meeting on the 7th will be here also?
Right,
Yes.
if that's okay with y'all.
Is that okay? Is that all right? Okay. All right.
All right, if there's nothing further for ESD 5, I'll for a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right. We know not in the motion.
Well, I was gonna say, but yeah. Fine, 9 seconds.
Motion by Lino, second by David.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
May I be excused?
You may. Thank
Safe
you very much.
travels.
Safe trip home.
Yes.
Lawyers has to leave.
I actually technically came from Granite Shoals today. My mother passed away, so I'm trying to get I had the appraisers coming in.
Condolences.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye,
See you.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
ESD 5, we're gonna stay in session.
I'll get with you soon.
Okay.